Today we're going to talk about 6 things that producers look for when pitching your script here on the Film Squad podcast. Okay, so you want to sell your script and to a big studio like Netflix, Universal, NBC, Amazon, you name it. There's always kind of a unwritten path that you have to take that nobody really knows about. So first off, your script is written and you're ready to pitch it. So what do you do? Why you and why now is the question, the first thing you need to ask yourself. Pitching is like an interview. Not only are they looking for a product from you, but they're also looking for a personality and making sure that you are aware of what's going on with your own project. So it's just as much about presence as it is how you communicate your amazing idea. Since you think everyone needs to hear your idea, you need to be able to easily talk about it once you get into this room with a producer. So why should a producer get married to your project? Right now in the industry, they're looking for fringe culture. They want to explore cultural trends that intersect across race, class, and geography. So they're looking for filmmakers that are interested in developing podcasts, novels, graphic novels, TV shows, just as much as they're interested in creating films. They're looking for storytellers with a true point of view, with passion, patience, and perseverance, the 3 Ps, which is a normal thing that you'll always hear about when it comes to filmmaking. Just keep in mind that you're competing with hundreds of original series that are coming out. So you have to create something that people are willing to get off their couch to go see, or take their time out of their day to actually put on your show and spend money to watch your film or your TV show across any given platform. Your project has to be something that will get people talking, and that alone will give you the marketing that you need to get other people wanting a piece of your idea. All right, let's talk about number 2 here. Understand the difficulty. This is a hard one for people because they just think that making a film is like easy. They think that you can just grab a camera and start filming. They don't understand the logistics of it. And this is something that like every writer needs to know and every filmmaker needs to know. So let's talk about this. So you have a good idea, that's the first step. No matter how good your story is, producers will want to know that they won't have to babysit you through their whole process of making the film, because they want to be able to trust you and trust that you know what you're doing when you do go out there and create your film. You need to treat yourself like a professional and work just as hard as major filmmakers are working, even if you're the only one who cares about your film. It's really hard for someone else to take your film serious if you aren't taking your own film serious, and if you haven't spent a lot of your time to create this project yourself and you're just expecting everyone else to create it for you. So number 3, we're going to talk about taking risks. A lot of people don't understand that there's a lot of risks you have to take when creating a film. And even just working in the film industry, you got to take a lot of risks. Okay, you have to put everything that you are expecting to do to make money and to live aside, and you have to put 100% of your life into film. This means everything against everything, literally film over family, essentially. But you got to try and make room for that on your own time. All right, so let's talk about risk taking. In order to add value, to push the boundaries, taking risks is a given. So I'm going to give you 6 directors that have taken risks to get their films made. Here's one, John Waters. Now look at this guy's, even just his persona. He's got like a little pencil mustache. He makes the most obscure movies, ones that, you don't even really want to watch because they're so disturbing and weird. And that's exactly what he did. Like, that was his niche. And he took that risk and he became famous for that risk. He didn't care if people were going to see his movies or not. He knew people were going to see his movies. And the reason why he knew is because human nature is kind of messed up in the way that we like to see weird things. And he did just that with all of his movies. Pink Flamingos was like the one for me that was just messed up. There's another one called Pecker with Edward Furlong. That's a very weird one. So let's talk about some other people. If maybe you don't know John Waters, here's one for you. George Lucas. He took a huge risk. His biggest risk was people didn't even want to fund this movie, Star Wars, because it was too over the top. It was too, impossible. And he went against all odds and he made that movie anyway. And now look at the franchise. Franchise is huge. Tarantino, he's been studying film since he was a kid and going into grindhouse cinemas and watching all these old obscure movies, and he's taken the risk every time to jumpstart those genres again and make something that maybe people won't even like, but he knows how to make them and present them in a way that no other director would know how. Here's a director that you guys might not know. Tarantino actually tipped his hat off to him in the movie Jackie Brown. But Andy Sidaris. Andy Sidaris did a whole series of films called Girls, Guns, and G-Strings. It's essentially like action films that don't really make sense with Playboy models and lots of explosions, guns, anacondas, weird things like that. This was the guy's niche, and he, at one point, people loved his movies, even though they were terrible. But he took a risk and he got them made, and he is famous for it. So now here's another one. I hold him close to my heart. His name is Harmony Korine. He made movies that people may... He doesn't even care if you like them or not. He's made his movies. This is why I'm so inspired by him. He made the movie Gummo, which is a very disturbing film. He made a movie called Trash Humpers, which was essentially a skateboarding music video, like a skateboarding compilation, but it had no skateboarding in it. That's the weird thing, because he loved skateboarding videos, so he made his own, but it was called Trash Humpers, and it was a bunch of dudes humping trash bins and whatever. He made movies for himself and not for anybody else, and he's made a name for himself. All right, let's talk about Lars von Trier. He made a niche and took risks on his movies by making weird movies. Melancholia, Nymphomaniac, The Antichrist. Those are ones that you would probably know of. Those were very strange movies. He doesn't care. All of his movies are about essentially his mental health and his abusive father, and it has all these undertones of anxiety and depression within his films, and that's what all of his movies are essentially about, and that's his niche. I mean, he took the chances, he made them, he didn't care, and look where he is now. He's a very successful filmmaker. So people pass on projects, and it's the nature of the business. You just need to find the person willing to take the risk on your project. Every project is a risk. You have to be in love with it to keep it alive. You can have hundreds of people pass on your script before someone actually bites on it and wants it. Lots of filmmakers that you see that are successful sometimes had, 300 people pass on their script. Maybe it took 5 years of people passing on their script before somebody was like, you know what, this is actually a really good idea. We're going to pick this up, and yeah, so don't feel like you failed. Another thing is you need to retrain your brain. This is number 4, guys, retraining your brain. How do you know a new voice is ready for this commitment? Producers often gauge ability based on your past experience. Now, like, some of us don't even have any experience. Like, I gained experience through the film industry, finding my way through, but I still want to make my own films. Even if you haven't made any commercials or shorts and you have another strong selling point for yourself, maybe you grew up studying movies like Tarantino, like I mentioned before. You know, maybe you're addicted to movies and you know exactly how you want to make this film. You grew up knowing one path: a festival circuit, indie film. Indie film leads to bigger projects. You sell your idea to producers. That's the old school route. Like, you don't want to marry yourself to that. Now you can think of success over multiple platforms. That's what we're doing these days. You can sell your film on iTunes and Vimeo if you make it yourself. You can sell it on YouTube. It's a good thing for the indie filmmaker as much as you don't think. Today's storytelling formats can be intimidating. But I do want to assure you that it is a plus because you're not catering to the aspect studio. You're not catering to a studio at all, really. You have more creative freedom and you're collaborating with your team of risk takers that want to help you make your film. So the fact that you're not, your project's not married to a studio, you don't have to abide by their rules. You can make it yourself. You don't have to rely on these producers. Number 5 is be a collaborator. Producers like storytellers that aren't married to their story and are often open for some change, because a lot of times what happens is your script will get purchased and it'll go through a rewrite almost right away. Because there's things in, maybe the script won't even end up being yours at all. There might have been a couple things in the story that, they really wanted. And if they put it in their own movie, it would have seemed like they stole it. So they just buy your project and rewrite. Anyways, if you're open to change like that, producers will love to collaborate with you on changing your script. Now, the very last step, number 6, is be willing to fail. A lot of people aren't willing to fail. They think that they have to be Hollywood right now. They need to be famous. They need to be hitting the festival circus. Sundance is going to be, giving them millions of dollars for their movies, when this isn't really the reality of it. The reality of it is you're probably not going to succeed, but you can succeed on your own with marketing and publicity, all of this stuff. Just be willing to fail. Your first project probably isn't going to be the one. Your second one also probably isn't going to be the one. And your third one probably isn't going to be the one. But people might recognize you from these 3 projects. Your fourth one might be your one. So just keep that in the back of your head. You will be able to probably join the DGC or the Directors Guild after you've directed quite a few of these and put them in the festival circuits, etc. Well, I hope you guys have got something out of this podcast. And if you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe or follow the podcast. Comment on it, on whichever platform you're listening to on. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. And yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.